Consider next problem for equivalence of DFA. This is M1, this is M2. So we have to start with pair of initial states. In M1, initial state is P. In M2, initial state is A. So we have to check whether P and A both are final states or both are non-final states. So P is non-final, A is non-final. So we will proceed. Now we have to consider transitions of P and A. So P on 0 remains in P, A on 0 remains in A. So we get pair PA. P is non-final, A is also non-final. Now consider transitions on 1. P on 1 goes to Q, A on 1 goes to B. So QB. Q is also final and B is also final. Now we have considered PA over here. QB is the new entry. So we consider it over here, Q comma B. Now consider transitions of Q and B. Q on 0 remains in Q. B on 0 remains in B. QB. Q is final, B is also final. Transitions on 1. Q on 1 goes to R. Q on 1 goes to R. B on 1 goes to A. R comma A. R is non-final, A is non-final. So we will proceed. Now QB, it is over here. RA is new entry. Consider transitions of R and A. R on 0 remains in R. A on 0 remains in A. RA, non-final, non-final. Transitions of 1. R on 1 goes to S. A on 1 goes to B. So S comma B. S is final, B is also final. Now RA is over here. SB, this is the new entry. So S comma B. Now S on 0 remains in S. B on 0 remains in B. S comma B. S is final, B is also final. Now transitions on 1. S on 1 goes to P. B on 1 goes to A. P comma A. P is non-final, A is non-final. Now S comma B, this entry is over here. P comma A, that is also over here. So we have considered all the entries in the table. For every pair, both states are either non-final states or both states are final states. So we can say that language of M1 is same as language of M2, or we can say that M1 and M2, they are equivalent. We consider next example for DFA equivalence. This is M1, this is M2. So we have to start with pair of initial states. So P comma A. So P is non-final state, A is also non-final states. Both are non-final states. So we proceed. Now consider transitions for P and A. P on 0 remains in P. A on 0 remains in A. P comma A, non-final, non-final. Transitions on 1. P on 1 goes to Q. A on 1 goes to B. Q comma B. Q is final, B is also final. Now PA, it is over here. QB, this is new entry. So Q comma B. Now transitions on 0. Q on 0 remains in Q. B on 0 remains in B. So QB, Q is final, B is final. Transitions on 1. Q on 1 goes to R. B on 1 goes to A. R comma A. R is final, A is non-final. R is final, A is non-final state. So we have found an entry in the table. In this pair, R is a final state, A is a non-final state. So M1 and M2, they are not equivalent. Language of M1 is not equal to language of M2. Consider next problem for equivalence of DFA. We have to check whether M1 and M2 are equivalent. So we have to start with pair of initial states. So initial state in M1 is A, initial state in M2 is P. So first we have to check whether both initial states are final or both are non-final. So A is final, P is also final. So we will proceed. Now consider transitions of A comma P. A on 0 goes to A, P on 0 remains in P. So A comma P, final, final. Now A on 1 goes to B, P on 1 goes to R, B comma R, non-final, non-final. So AP already here, BR, this is new entry in the table. So consider B comma R. B on 0 goes to C, R on 0 goes to S, C comma S, non-final, non-final. Now B on 1 goes to A, R on 1 goes to P, A comma P, final, final. So next entry in the table is C comma S, C comma S. C on 0 goes to B, S on 0 goes to Q, B comma Q, non-final, non-final. Now C on 1 remains in C, S on 1 remains in S, C comma S, non-final, non-final. Now for next entry in the table, AP already here, BQ, this is new entry. Consider B comma Q. B on 0 goes to C, Q on 0 goes to S, C comma S, non-final, non-final. B on 1 goes to A, Q on 1 goes to P, A comma P, final, final. Now CS already here, CS already here, A comma P already here. So we have considered every entry in the table. For each entry, for each pair of states, both states are final states or both states are non-final states. So M1 and M2, they are equivalent. Language of M1 is equal to language of M2. Both DFA are equivalent. Consider next problem. So first consider pair of initial states A comma P. A is initial state of M1, P is initial state of M2. Both are final states. So we will proceed. A on 0 remains in A, P on 0 remains in P. A comma P, final, final. A on 1 goes to B, P on 1 goes to R, B comma R, non-final, non-final. So AP, it is here, BR, this is new entry in the table, B comma R. B on 0 goes to C, R on 0 goes to Q, C comma Q, non-final, non-final. B on 1 goes to A, R on 1 goes to S, A comma S, final, non-final. State A is final state in M1, state S is non-final state in M2. So we have find an entry in this pair. One state is final state, another state is non-final state. So M1 and M2, they are not equivalent. Language of M1 is not equal to language of M2. DFA M1 and M2, they are not equivalent.